The phone on Hannah's kitchen table buzzed, shattering the afternoon quiet of her Portland apartment.
Hannah, your mother just posted on Facebook that you're dead. Sophia, that's not funny. Start over slowly. Check your messages. She wrote a whole eulogy. There's a photo of you.
Today we mourn our beautiful daughter taken too soon. The insurance check brings no comfort, but we trust it would have been her wish to support her grieving family.
That's $480,000. That's my grandfather's policy. They filed a missing person report years ago, then a death petition. I'm looking at the probate notice right now.
Hannah's hand steadied on the kitchen table as she stared at the probate document Sophia had sent.
Sophia, send me everything you have. Screenshots, the court date, the insurance details. I need to know what they've done.
The faint half-smile that usually played at Hannah's lips was gone, replaced by something colder. She wasn't dead, but someone was going to wish she was.
I'm sending the screenshots now. The probate hearing is scheduled for next month. So they planned this for 11 months after filing the death petition?
The probate filing stated Hannah had a long history of mental instability and had been missing for years.
Mental instability. That's their public excuse. My grandfather would be sick. The policy was originally from your grandfather. He made you the sole beneficiary. I still have the letter he wrote me with the policy. He said it was for my future. Hannah, what are you going to do? The hearing is only a few weeks away. Sit here and let them steal my name? I don't think so. I'm going to find an attorney, and I'm going to that hearing.
Hannah ended the call and opened her laptop. The fight for her own existence had just begun. 4 years earlier, Hannah was 23 and still living under her parents' roof in Ohio. The house felt like a prison of passive aggression and cold control.
You think you can just leave? You have no idea how the world works, Hannah.
I've heard this all my life. Nothing I do is ever good enough for them.
The final argument had erupted over her decision to move west. Carolyn called it another one of her unstable whims.
I'm not unstable. I'm suffocating here, and I'm done arguing.
That night, she packed a single duffel bag. Then she took every piece of mail with her old name and erased it. The new name she chose was hers alone, a clean break from the people who had drained her dry. She walked out at dawn, past her father's indifferent gaze, and never looked back. Within a month, she had a new driver's license in Oregon and a job climbing trees. Now, 4 years later, they were trying to bury her all over again for a check. Above Portland, Hannah was 50 feet up an oak, her body swaying in the harness. The work was quiet and demanding, exactly what she'd needed.
Up here, the world simplifies. No parents, no Ohio, just bark and balance.
Back in Ohio, the same afternoon felt heavier. Carolyn stared at a bank balance that bled red into overdraft.
We're drowning, Mark. If we don't find money by spring, we lose the last of it.
We still have that policy on Hannah, the one her grandfather bought.
She's been gone for years. If she's gone, we could claim it.
The next week, they walked into a police station and filed a missing person report. Mark filled out the forms with a steady hand. Soon, a missing person poster with her old photo appeared on a community board. They told neighbors she'd always been troubled. Months later, a presumption of death petition was filed, citing her long absence and history of mental instability, a complete fiction. Then, the insurance claim was submitted. The policy, her grandfather's gift, was now the price of her parents' rescue.
You're telling me your parents had you declared legally dead for a life insurance payout?
Yes, here's the probate filing and my mother's Facebook eulogy.
This is appalling. They fabricated mental instability to make it stick.
Hannah slid the original insurance policy across the table, her grandfather's signature at the bottom.
The policy names you sole beneficiary. We have grounds to intervene immediately.
Within the hour, they moved to Catherine's office to formalize the retainer. Emergency motion to intervene and set aside declaration of death, filed with the county probate court.
I've notified the insurance company. The payout is frozen pending investigation.
So now they know someone is fighting back, but they don't know it's me.
The hearing was 8 days away. Hannah's parents had no idea their daughter was closing in. At the insurance company's regional office, Mr. Langley frowned at the emergency motion that had just crossed his desk.
The claimant is alive? This is fraud. I'm freezing the $480,000 immediately.
Hours later in Ohio, Carolyn's cell phone rang with a call that made her kitchen stool feel unsteady.
Mark, the court just called. Someone filed a motion to block the hearing. They claim Hannah is still alive.
That's impossible. We haven't heard from her in years. Who would even know to file this?
Carolyn dialed Sophia, her voice thin with menace. The cousin was the only one who'd ever shown concern.
I don't know anything, Aunt Carolyn. I haven't spoken to Hannah in years, I swear.
If you're hiding something, Sophia, it will destroy this family all over again. Don't test me.
Sophia's hands trembled as she ended the call, praying her lie would hold a little longer. In their living room, Mark and Carolyn began to unravel, suspecting a ghost had risen from the past, but never guessing it was Hannah herself. In her Portland apartment, Hannah spread tax returns, employment records, and her Oregon driver's license across the table.
This is what it takes to prove you exist. Paperwork and a photo ID, not a pulse.
Documents alone might not be enough. The judge could still question your identity over a paper trail. If you walk into that courtroom in person, there's no argument. A living, breathing woman trumps any false certification.
She means I have to face them, stand in the same room as the people who filed me away like a used-up asset.
I know it's terrifying, but your presence is the most powerful evidence we have. Are you willing to do that?
My grandfather used to say that sometimes the only way out is through. I guess he meant right into the fire. Then book the flight. I'll walk into that hearing. Let them see I'm not a memory they get to erase.
That evening, Hannah secured a ticket to Ohio. Her gray button-up hung in the closet, ready for the day she'd walk back into her own life. The hearing was 5 days away. Her parents were about to learn that the dead don't knock. They just opened the door. On the morning of the flight, Hannah checked in at Portland International with a single carry-on and a folder of evidence.
This is the first time I've flown toward Ohio instead of away. Every mile feels like unrolling a map of old wounds.
At cruising altitude, she pressed her forehead to the cold window. Ohio's flat winter fields spread below like pages from a book she'd tried to close. By evening, the hotel room became a war room. Catherine spread the legal files across a small table under lamplight.
Tomorrow, I'll present the motion and argue fraud. The judge will likely ask for evidence of life. Then I call you as a surprise witness.
So I just walk in when you say my name. What if they try to stop me?
They won't have time. The bailiff may hesitate, but you keep walking. Your ID is in your hand.
13 months since they filed that petition. Tomorrow they'll see what they really buried.
They have no idea you're in this city. The shock alone might win us the case before lunch.
The ticket stub lay on the nightstand, a silent reminder that she had crossed the country to undo a lie. The hearing was 12 hours away. By 7 the next morning, Catherine's phone buzzed with a last-minute motion from the Parents' Council, a challenge to the very identity of the contestant.
They're arguing no proof exists that the filer is actually Hannah. This is a delay tactic to kill our emergency motion.
The motion claimed the documents were hearsay and that no living witness could verify the signature. It asked the judge to dismiss.
Counselor, you've provided tax forms and a license, but how can I be sure the woman behind these papers is the deceased?
Your Honor, we intend to provide exactly that proof in person. The petitioner is ready to appear today.
So it comes down to my face. They want to force me into the open. Fine.
The judge has ordered an evidentiary hearing first. We either produce you in the flesh or risk losing entirely.
Then produce me they will. I'm not hiding anymore.
Catherine nodded and added the evidentiary binder to her case file. The morning had just turned into a crucible. In 2 hours, Hannah would walk through the courthouse doors. Everything now depended on a single entrance. But the night before had been the harder battle. Alone in her hotel room, Hannah found a creased photo of her grandfather.
He told me the insurance policy was for my independence. a safeguard so no one could ever trap me.
This is your future, Hannah. No matter what happens, you have options.
She could almost feel the weight of the envelope in her teenage hands. The same policy her parents had twisted into a weapon.
They made me a name on a death certificate, but he made sure I'd have a life.
The tears came hard, but they didn't last. She let them fall, then wiped her face dry.
Grandfather didn't raise me to bend. Tomorrow, I walk into that court for me and for him.
Now, an hour before the hearing, she pinned a postcard of the Oregon coast to the hotel mirror, a reminder of the life waiting after. She dressed in her gray button-up with the same care a soldier might put on armor. There was no more weight to carry, only the next step forward. The rental car smelled new, but every road Hannah drove felt old, worn into memory. The courthouse rose from the gray skyline, columns like stern witnesses. She spotted a familiar sedan pulling in.
There they are. Carolyn in a pearl earrings and cardigan, Mark straightening his tie like nothing ever happened.
She let them disappear up the stone steps before she even opened her door. Inside, the security checkpoint was mundane. Empty pockets, a plastic bin, the metal detector's indifferent beep. The hallway stretched long and hushed. The floor tiles reflected the same overhead light she'd known as a child dragged to family court hearings.
I can hear voices behind that door. My parents' lawyer, probably arrogant and loud.
Her pulse hammered. The last time she'd seen them, she was fleeing. Now she was about to walk back in for herself.
They closed this door on me. Funny now I'm the one about to open it.
And inside, Catherine's voice rose steady, clear, as she announced that the deceased was ready to speak for herself. Inside the courtroom, the air thickened the moment Catherine's words settled. Judge Weaver's gavel remained suspended.
You claim the deceased is present in this building? That is an extraordinary assertion, Counselor.
It is, Your Honor, and she is prepared to prove it herself.
The parent's attorney shot to his feet, objections spilling out about procedural ambush.
Objection overruled. If there is a living claimant, I will see her. Bailiff, open the doors.
The bailiff hesitated for half a heartbeat, then moved toward the rear entrance. Every neck craned.
She has been waiting long enough. Let her in.
A low creak echoed through the silence as the heavy doors started to swing inward. Mark's knuckles blanched white on the armrest. Carolyn's breath caught in her throat. The entire courtroom held its breath, waiting for the woman who was supposed to be dead. The heavy oak doors swung fully open, and a blonde woman stepped through, silhouetted against the hallway's harsh light. Her shoes clicked on the tile floor as she walked forward, head high, that faint half-smile never leaving her lips. She moved down the aisle like walking into her own funeral, calm, deliberate, utterly composed.
You're dead. I buried you.
Mark stumbled backward, his mouth opening and closing without sound, as if the air had turned to stone. Hannah ignored them. She stopped before the bench, reached into her pocket, and produced a driver's license.
Your Honor, my name is Hannah Reed. I am not dead. This Oregon license proves my identity.
The identification is valid, Your Honor. We have verified every detail against the original policy.
Approach the bench and present it to the clerk. I'll examine it myself.
The courtroom exploded, gavel pounding, the insurance rep dialing, and above it all, Carolyn's wail. Carolyn's knees buckled. She dropped like a puppet with cut strings, her pearls rattling against the wooden railing. Mark grabbed her shoulders, his face a mess of panic and fury. The parent's attorney stood mute, mouth agape.
This is insurance fraud confirmed. I'm notifying our legal department. The payout is off permanently.
Order in this court. Everyone will be seated, or I'll clear the gallery.
Your Honor, given the undeniable proof of life, we move that the declaration of death be vacated immediately.
Motion noted. Ms. Reed, you will answer my questions now.
I'm ready, Your Honor. Everything I have is here.
The insurance rep waved a document frantically, still on the line with his office. "I need this on record," he shouted. Carolyn stirred on the floor, groaning, but the legal world had already moved past her dramatics.
We will proceed with the evidentiary hearing. Bailiff, keep the gallery quiet and help that woman to a chair.
Judge Weaver held the Oregon license under the desk lamp. Then the tax returns. Her face hardened with each passing second.
The evidence is overwhelming. The presumption of death petition was built on false statements. The declaration of death is hereby vacated.
Your Honor, we also request that the insurance policy be immediately reinstated to the original beneficiary, Hannah Reed.
The insurance company has already processed the reversion. The policy now belongs solely to Hannah. The payout is blocked for anyone else.
Then this court finds probable cause for insurance fraud and false reporting. Bailiff, take Carolyn and Mark into custody.
2 uniformed officers moved toward the parents' table. Mark's face drained of color as the handcuffs clicked around his wrists. Carolyn, now slumped in a gallery chair, let out a raw wail and clutched her attorney's sleeve as her husband was led away.
12 months ago, they called me dead. Now they're the ones leaving in cuffs.
The judge's pen moved across the final order declaration of death vacated, and the case was sealed. The gavel stayed silent. The only sound left was the shuffle of handcuffs and the echo of a woman who'd reclaimed her name. The bailiffs led Mark and Carolyn through the side door. Carolyn still weeping, Mark's shoulders slumped.
They never once looked back. Not even Carolyn.
It's over. The declaration is vacated, and the policy is yours permanently.
Thank you, Catherine. I couldn't have walked in here without you.
Miss Reed, the court thanks you for your courage. Not many would confront their own funeral.
I had to. For my grandfather. And for myself.
As she walked toward the exit, Mr. Langley stepped forward, his expression formal but sincere.
On behalf of the company, I apologize. The policy will be reinstated fully. You've been wronged.
She pushed through the main doors and stood on the courthouse steps, the overcast sky feeling lighter than it had in years. "I'm not dead," she told herself, and for the first time in 11 months she believed it. An hour later, Hannah sat across from Catherine in a quiet airport cafe, the tension finally leaking out of her shoulders.
The insurance company will finalize the reversion within days. I'll also file for restitution on your legal costs.
Thank you, Catherine. Right now, I just want to go home and let it all sink in.
They clinked their mugs, a quiet toast to a battle none of them had expected to fight. At security, Hannah moved through the line like someone who had finally shed a heavy coat. On the plane, she switched her phone off airplane mode and watched it erupt with notifications. A news alert read, "Woman declared dead walks into her own probate hearing alive."
Sophia texted, "You're trending. I'm so proud. I never thought I'd be reading those words."
Then she turned off the screen and gazed out the window at the endless clouds, a genuine smile settling on her lips. She wasn't flying away from anything anymore. She was flying home. The luggage carousel hummed as she pulled her bag free, the weight nothing compared to what she'd carried the day before.
Cedar and rain. I never realized how much I missed this city.
The first thing she did in her apartment was water the drooping plant on the windowsill, its leaves thirsty for attention.
I'm home. I'm really home.
Then she sat by the window and unfolded the insurance policy. The beneficiary line now read, Hannah Reed.
Grandfather, it took 11 months in a courtroom, but your gift is finally where it belongs.
She opened a small fireproof safe and placed the policy inside, next to his photograph. The safe clicked shut, sealing the document beside the last portrait of her grandfather. She stood at the window, the city lights starting to blink on, and felt something she hadn't in months, quiet.
This is peace. Not dramatic, just quiet.
A local newspaper landed on her table, the front page headline freezing the coffee halfway to her lips. Woman declared dead walks into own probate hearing, alleges fraud. Her phone erupted with interview requests, legal bloggers, local news, even a true crime podcast.
I'm not a headline. I just want to reclaim my life.
She silenced it, then clipped the article with the same shears she used for her plants. Then she slipped it into a simple frame and placed it next to her grandfather's photograph. Afterwards, she stood at the windowsill, the plant she'd almost lost looking thirsty, but still reaching for the sun.
Funny how small things survive if you just give them what they need.
Water dripped into the soil, the morning light catching each drop like a tiny promise. The world outside could scream all it wanted. In here, it was finally quiet. A thick envelope from the insurance company arrived, heavier than any limb she'd carried. Inside, a formal letter confirmed the policy reversion was complete. The beneficiary line read only one name: Hannah Reed. She picked up her phone and dialed Catherine's number.
Catherine, it's official. The policy is mine. Thank you for everything.
You're the best living client I've ever had, Hannah. Don't be a stranger.
A quick message to Sophia. You started this. Thank you for giving me back my life. Then she saddled her harness and returned to the canopy, where the only sound was wind through oak leaves.
This is where I belong. 40 feet up, where no one can declare me anything but alive.
The saw hummed, wood chips falling like confetti, each branch a small victory over everything that tried to cut her down. By sundown, she descended, her arms sore, her smile unforced. 3 months later, a slim envelope from the insurance company brought a dividend check.
Grandfather, this is still you giving me a future.
She replaced her worn harness with one that smelled of fresh webbing, stitched for the next climb. Then she wrote a check to a local program for teens aging out of foster care.
Some kids just need to know someone believes they can climb.
On a clear evening, she hiked to the ridge on the edge of town, the forest quiet. As the sun sank behind the tree line, she stood at the top, her silhouette drawn against the sky.
I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
The sky burned orange and pink as she watched until the last light faded beyond the hills. Then she walked down through the darkening woods, heading home. The signed order lay flat on the wooden desk, a single lamp casting a warm halo over the state seal. Hannah's fingers traced the judge's engraved name, then moved to the photograph beside it. Grandfather's smile looked back at her, sepia tones forever frozen. She straightened, gathering the papers into a neat stack, as if tidying up a past that no longer had a hold. Then she walked to the window and looked out at the city lights blinking on, one by one. When she turned back, her eyes caught the camera. Her expression was calm, unguarded. The faint half-smile returned, the one that had always been her armor and her quiet rebellion. As the seconds passed, the frame around her began to fade, the edges softening into shadow. Some people die twice, once in the lies others tell, and once for real. Hannah chose to live, and that was enough.